a big shout out to our listeners. Credits Gustavo Gomez as both the producer
Oh, wow.
and the director.
Yeah.
Okay, think about this. Two tiny seats. So
Yeah.
simple, right? But they've literally fueled economies, shaped entire cultures, sparked moments of joy for centuries all across the globe.
It's pretty incredible when you stop and think about it.
Exactly. We're talking, of course, about coffee and cacao, or as Gustavo Gomez calls them in his documentary essay, the two golden fruits.
A great name for them.
Isn't it? So today we're doing a deep dive into that essay. Our mission really is to pull out the most fascinating bits for you, the history, the culture, the natural properties, and how we still use them today.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Gomez covers everything from origins and myths to health benefits and even recipes.
He really does. So let's start at the beginning. Where did these golden fruits actually come from?
Well, coffee, its story really kicks off in Ethiopia, specifically the highlands, the Kaffa region.
Kaffa, hence coffee.
Makes sense. Possibly, yeah. And there's this great legend, you've probably heard it, about Kaldi the goat herder.
The dancing goats.
That's the one. He supposedly noticed his goats got super energetic, like unusually energetic, after eating berries from a certain bush.
Huh. Imagine seeing that.
Right. And that observation, that curiosity, that's supposedly what led to coffee cultivation. From Ethiopia, it traveled to the Arabian Peninsula, became really important in Yemen.
Yemen, okay. Why there specifically?
Well, it got tied into Sufi religious practices. They used it apparently to stay awake for rituals and prayers.
Wow, so from energetic goats to religious ceremonies, that's quite a leap.
It really is. A global phenomenon sparked by, well, maybe just a few hyperactive goats. It's kind of funny.
It is, and amazing that something so huge started so almost accidentally. What about cacao then? Its history feels just as old, just as deep.
Oh, absolutely. Cacao's roots are deep in Central and South America. We're talking ancient civilizations, the Olmecs, the Mayans.
The Mayans, right. Didn't they have a special name for it?
They did. Gomez mentions they called it cacao. And they, along with the Aztecs later, really revered it.
And did they use it? Not like our chocolate bars, I assume.
No, definitely not. The Mayans often had it as a drink, but it was bitter, often mixed with spices. Very different.
Bitter and spicy.
And get this, the Aztecs valued cacao beans so highly, they actually used them as currency.
Wait, really? Actual money?
Yeah. Like, you could buy things with cacao beans. They also believed it was a divine gift from their god, Quetzalcoatl.
Wow. So it was sacred and it was cash. That really puts our perspective on chocolate in a different light, doesn't it?
Completely. Forget pocket change. You had pocket beans. It shows just how incredibly valuable it was considered.
So, okay, they started as food, drink, even money.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they became much more than that, culturally speaking.
Exactly right. They both went way beyond just being consumables. They took on huge cultural, even political weight. Take coffee's nickname in some places, the wine of Islam.
The wine of Islam, I've heard that. Why?
Well, because alcohol was forbidden in many Islamic traditions, coffee became this socially acceptable stimulant, a replacement almost.
Okay, a social lubricant, but permitted.
Precisely. And the places where it was drunk, the early coffee houses, Gomez points out they were often called schools of the wise.
Schools of the wise, I love that.
Yeah, they weren't just cafes. They were hubs for intellectuals, for political discussion, for hashing out ideas. Think about the conversations that happened there.
It does make you think differently about grabbing a quick coffee, doesn't it? Like there's this whole history of debate and ideas behind it.
Right. And cacao had a similar kind of status, that deep reverence.
How so with cacao?
For the Mayans, it was spiritually crucial. It featured in sacred ceremonies, even in marriage rituals, apparently.
Part of tying the knot, literally.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Aztecs felt consuming it gave them wisdom and vitality. Echoes of that sacredness.
Wisdom and vitality from chocolate. I think some people still believe that today.
Ah.
Maybe they're onto something. And the myths Gomez mentions are fascinating, too. Like, angels supposedly sent coffee to help devout Muslims stay awake for prayers.
Okay, that's a strong endorsement. And cacao was seen almost as a bridge, you know, a connection to the gods. It really shows they saw these plants as something special, almost otherworldly.
More than just plants. Blessings, almost.
Exactly. Which naturally leads us to ask, what is actually in coffee and cacao that gives them these effects, these qualities people valued so much?
Right. We know they're packed with antioxidants. That's common knowledge now. But what else? What about the specifics?
Okay, let's break it down. Coffee, the big one, is caffeine, obviously. As Gomez notes, it's a central nervous system stimulant.
That's the kick we all know. The focus, the alertness.
That's it. But coffee also has something called chlorogenic acid.
Chlorogenic acid, what does that do?
Well, research links it to things like reducing inflammation and maybe helping with metabolism, so it's doing more than just waking you up.
Interesting. So that morning jolt has some potential hidden health perks too.
Potentially, yeah. And then there's cacao. We hear a lot about dark chocolate being good for you.
Definitely. The flavonoids, right?
Exactly. Cacao is rich in flavonoids, especially one called epicatechin. These are linked to heart health benefits, maybe helping with blood pressure, even boosting brain function.
Okay, heart health, brain function.
Ah.
Pretty good list.
And cacao also has theobromine. It's a stimulant, but milder than caffeine.
Milder, okay.
Yeah, and it's often associated with enhancing your mood, so that little lift you get from dark chocolate. There might be some science behind it.
It's not just wishful thinking then. It's fascinating they both offer these boosts, but kind of in different ways.
It is. Different mechanisms, similar results. In some ways, energy, focus, maybe even mood.
Now, Gomez's essay also gets into the nitty-gritty, the nutritional and medicinal data. What are some key numbers or facts we should know?
Sure. So for black coffee, your standard cup, it's incredibly low in calories, like around 2 calories.
2. That's basically nothing.
Pretty much, but it does give you small amounts of B vitamins, potassium, niacin. Medicinally, besides the alertness we mentioned, there's ongoing research suggesting it might, and I stress might, help reduce the risk of things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's.
Wow, that's significant potential.
It is, and of course, lots of people use it or find it helps with fat burning, often before exercise.
Right. So that simple black coffee is actually doing quite a lot behind the scenes. What about raw cacao powder?
Okay, raw cacao powder, say about 2 tablespoons. That's around 25 calories, but it's pretty nutrient dense for those calories.
What's in it?
Good source of iron, magnesium, calcium, and like we said, tons of antioxidants. Medicinally, it's often highlighted for cardiovascular health benefits.
Heart health again?
Yep. And also potentially reducing stress hormones, which, let's face it, is a benefit many of us could use.
Definitely. And mood improvement, too.
And mood improvement linked back to things like theobromine and other compounds.
It's really amazing how these things we often just see as treats in their raw or less processed forms have these genuine health aspects.
Absolutely. The original forms were powerhouses.
So let's jump forward to today. How do we see coffee and cacao showing up in our modern celebrations and festivals?
Oh, all over the place. In so many ways. Coffee has its own big events, like the Milan Coffee Festival in Italy. A huge deal for coffee lovers.
A whole festival just for coffee?
Yeah. And then you have these deep cultural traditions, like the Ethiopian coffee ceremony. It's not just about drinking coffee. It's a really important social ritual. It's about community, hospitality.
That sounds amazing. Much more than just grabbing a cup to go.
Totally different vibe. And cacao, well, it practically owns certain holidays, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Valentine's Day, Easter, Christmas. Chocolate is everywhere.
Exactly. It's become this dominant symbol of, love, sharing, indulgence, celebration.
A go-to gift, a comfort food during holidays.
Precisely. But it's not just those big ones. Think about wedding cakes or dessert tables. Coffee and cacao flavors are staples. They pop up in cultural rituals worldwide, and you see them celebrated in artisanal markets everywhere. They're just woven into our festive life.
So whether it's a massive festival or just a special family dinner, chances are one of these golden fruits is part of the celebration somewhere.
A very good chance, yeah. They connect people.
They really do. From that daily personal ritual to these big shared moments. Now, speaking of daily use, Gomez also touches on some popular modern ways we consume them, even some basic recipes or methods.
Yeah, he gives a few cool examples. For coffee, there's the classic espresso, that intense, concentrated shot brewed under pressure, the base for so many other drinks.
My morning depends on it.
Yeah, lots of people do. Then there's cold brew, which is a totally different process, right? Coarse grounds steeped in cold water for hours, like 12 to 24 hours.
Right. Much smoother, less acidic, I find.
Exactly. Then you have Turkish coffee, super finely ground, simmered with sugar, usually in that special pot, the seve. Very strong, unfiltered.
Very traditional method.
Very. And then something maybe less expected. Coffee scrubs, using the leftover grounds with maybe coconut oil and sugar for exfoliation.
Oh, yeah. I've seen those. Good way to reuse the grounds. Sustainable.
It is. Resourceful.
Well,
And for cacao.
what are the modern cacao examples Gomez gives?
Well, the comforting classic. Hot chocolate, but maybe made with raw cacao powder, milk, or a plant-based milk, a sweetener, potentially a bit healthier, richer flavor than the instant stuff.
Definitely sounds better.
Then chocolate truffles, that decadent mix of melted dark chocolate and cream rolled in cocoa powder or nuts, pure indulgence.
Can't go wrong with truffles.
Right. For a healthier option, a cacao smoothie blending the powder with banana, maybe some almond milk, honey, or dates. Great post-workout or breakfast.
That sounds genuinely healthy and tasty.
It really can be. And then, surprisingly, like coffee, cacao turns up in skincare. A raw cacao face mask, maybe mixed with yogurt or honey. People use it for its antioxidants, supposedly good for the skin.
Wow, coffee scrubs and cacao masks. Who knew they were so versatile?
Pretty amazing, isn't it? From drink to dessert to facial treatment.
It really is. Okay, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into Gustavo Gomez's essay, what are the main things you think people should take away about these two golden fruits?
I think the biggest thing really is just appreciating the sheer scale of their journey. Starting in these specific parts of the world, Ethiopia, Central South America,
Yeah.
and becoming these truly global commodities that touch, almost every culture, every economy or personal life, every single day.
It's that massive spread and integration.
Exactly. And their value isn't just economic, it's deeply cultural, deeply personal for so many. It's a story of transformation, connection, and just enduring appeal.
Absolutely. They're not just background noise in our lives. They're woven right into history, culture, even our well-being, as we've discussed.
A little something special
It really
beyond
makes you
your
pause, doesn't it?
everyday coffee or hot chocolate at home.
Mm.
Well, you're definitely not alone. You sent us some really interesting YouTube videos, and it's clear you're looking to master the art of crafting both wonderfully refreshing iced coffees and those, deeply comforting hot chocolates.
Yeah, those cozy ones.
Exactly. So that's what we're diving into today. Our mission here is basically to equip you with the know-how and maybe some surprising insights to take your at-home beverage game up a notch.
Right.
We're talking about creating drinks that aren't just delicious, but also, save you time and money while opening up a whole world of flavors.
It's a great collection of sources you've shared, actually.
Yeah.
We've got everything from like quick hacks for iced coffee
Yeah.
to exploring these really fascinating variations in hot chocolate, and even to look at a traditional cacao drink.
Oh, interesting.
What's really cool is how much complexity and variety you can find in drinks that seem so simple.
Yeah.
It all depends on the ingredients and the techniques.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Starting with those iced coffee ideas from Honeysuckle. The first one that really caught my eye was the vanilla sweet cream cold brew.
Ah, yes.
Now, for anyone who's maybe only ever had iced coffee made by, pouring hot coffee over ice, cold brew is a totally different thing, right?
Absolutely. Completely different. The key difference is the brewing. Cold brew means steeping coarsely ground coffee in cold water for a long time.
How long?
In this case, the video says around 12 hours in the fridge.
12 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this cold water extraction makes a big difference. It's usually way less acidic.
Right, smoother.
Exactly. Much smoother for a lot of people. Plus, the long, steep time pulls out different compounds.
Yeah.
You often get more chocolatey, nutty notes.
Instead of fruity.
Yeah, less of the bright, fruity notes you might get from hot coffee.
Mhm.
And some people even find it tastes naturally a bit sweeter, more concentrated too.
Okay, that makes sense. And that kind of leads perfectly into the vanilla sweet cream cold foam. It sounds really fancy, but it seems pretty straightforward.
It really is. Just half and half, a bit of sugar, some vanilla bean paste.
Pretty vanilla bean paste.
Yeah, adds a nice touch.
Yeah.
And then you just whip it, either with a little frothing wand or
No.
even just shake it hard in a mason jar till it's foamy.
Huh. That simple.
It's pretty amazing how just aerating it changes the texture so much. You get this light velvety foam that sits beautifully on top of the denser cold brew.
Yeah.
And the video mentioned making a big batch of the cold brew for the weekend. Genius idea.
Oh, totally. Think of the time saved on busy mornings. Definitely a good move. Okay, next up, shifting gears a bit. The s'mores frappuccino.
Ah, yes. The fun one.
This just screams childhood nostalgia, doesn't it?
It really does. It's a clever way to get those s'mores flavors into a drink.
Yeah.
You get your espresso shot however you make it.
Right, doesn't have to be fancy.
Nope. Then ice, obviously, for the frappuccino texture. And then the key s'mores bits, marshmallow fluff.
Marshmallow fluff.
Yeah. Though they mentioned a healthier option too, I think. Plus, condensed milk, cocoa powder, and even a bit of actual graham cracker.
Wow, a whole cracker.
Well, half a cracker blended right in. And milk, of course. Blend it till it's creamy, but not like super icy.
And the way they build it in the cup sounds cool too. The chocolate syrup swirl
Yeah, the drizzle inside.
and that layer of marshmallow fluff at the bottom, it sets the whole scene.
Exactly. It's visual, it's textural. You see the layers, the drizzle, then you taste the chocolate marshmallow coffee combo.
Mm-hmm.
And that crushed graham cracker on top adds the flavor and a nice little crunch. It really makes you think about how presentation boosts enjoyment.
It absolutely does. Okay, last iced coffee. The iced caramel macchiato, super popular, like the video says, especially when it's warm out.
And this one shows how easy it is to replicate those coffee shop staples at home. The key is that homemade vanilla simple syrup.
Which sounds easy.
Oh yeah, just sugar, water, vanilla extract, simmer it for a minute, let it cool. Done.
And you can make a bigger batch for the week.
Exactly. Another great time saver. Keep it in the fridge.
So assembly is just
Right.
vanilla syrup first.
Yep. Syrup on the bottom, then ice, then milk. Pour your espresso shot over that,
Okay.
and finish with that classic caramel drizzle right on top.
See, that sounds totally doable and way cheaper than buying one every day.
That's the main point, really. All these iced coffee recipes are pretty accessible. Common ingredients, no fancy gear needed. It makes it easy to experiment and find your perfect version at home.
Right. Okay, let's switch things up. Warm drinks now. The Joshua Weissman video exploring different hot chocolates. He starts with the basic one, right? Instant powder.
Yeah, classic instant stuff. He kind of acknowledges it. Powder, hot milk, we all know it.
The nostalgic one.
Exactly. But he almost uses it as like a baseline, a jumping off point to show how much better it can get.
Right. So then he
Uh-huh.
moves to a simple single-serving hot chocolate. That sounds like a definite upgrade.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Big step up using whole milk, a bit of heavy cream.
Ooh, cream.
Yeah, that adds richness.
Right.
Plus unsweetened cocoa powder, brown sugar for depth, and a bit of vanilla extract.
Mm.
You heat it all, whisk it so the cocoa dissolves properly. It gives you a much richer, smoother, more complex chocolate flavor.
And you control the sweetness.
Precisely. Add more or less brown sugar to taste. Big advantage.
Okay, nice. Then Italian style. Cioccolata calda. Known for being thick, right?
Incredibly thick, almost like a pudding.
Really? How?
The secret is cornstarch.
Ah.
Yeah. You melt dark chocolate with some milk, sugar, or cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Then you mix cornstarch with a little cold milk to make a slurry.
Okay.
Whisk that into the hot chocolate mixture and keep heating and whisking until it thickens up beautifully.
Wow. So it's a totally different texture experience.
Completely different. Very dense, very luxurious. Makes you realize how much texture matters in how we enjoy flavors.
Sounds perfect for a really cold night.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Mexican hot chocolate. This one brings in spices.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. A great example of cultural influence.
How so?
Well, he uses a charred cinnamon stick. Charring, it apparently releases more oils.
Never heard of that.
Me neither. And a dried chili. He used a smoked New Mexican one, I think. Adds warmth, smokiness, a little spice.
Not too spicy, hopefully.
He mentions being careful with the heat level, yeah. Plus vanilla bean, brown sugar, dark chocolate, pinch of salt, all heated with milk.
So you heat it all together.
Heat it till the chocolate melts, then let it steep for about 10 minutes to infuse the flavors.
Okay.
Then you fish out the vanilla pod and cinnamon stick, blend it really well till it's smooth, and pour it through a fine mesh strainer.
Wow, that sounds involved. But the flavor combo,
Sweet, spicy, smoky, chocolatey.
exactly. Really complex, rich, deep, salty, smoky, spicy, sweet, all at once. It's amazing how spices can just transform something familiar.
Yeah, it really highlights that. His enjoyment of both the Italian and Mexican ones really came through, showing how different they are, but both appealing.
Definitely.
Okay, finally, the Pure Cacao video. This one seemed a bit different, more fundamental.
Yeah.
Focusing on traditional cacao. Yeah, this was interesting. It talks about using cacao itself, probably like minimally processed cacao paste, not just cocoa powder.
So it retains more of the natural fats and stuff?
Exactly, more the inherent flavor. And they mentioned deku and had leap goad. Sounds like it could be served hot or cold,
Maybe. Thick, cold, and hot went well? Something like that.
possibly. Again, spices come up, chili, cardamom, ginger, cinnamon. Similar to the Mexican style, suggesting a long history there.
Right, and they talked about thickening agents and getting foam. Using a special whisk.
A molinillo, yeah, the traditional wooden whisk.
Yeah.
Or a blender. Creating that foam seems key. And melting the cacao paste gently, not burning it.
So it's about preserving the cacao's quality.
Seems like it. If you think about it, this traditional approach feels, Well, maybe less like just a sweet treat
Yeah.
and more connected to the history and culture of cacao.
Right, like a more mindful
Yeah,
experience.
potentially. Focusing on the quality, the careful preparation, it
Yeah.
points towards something maybe richer, more intentional.
So, wow. We've gone from super easy iced coffee dupes that save money
Mm-hmm.
all the way to these really rich, complex hot chocolates and even this traditional cacao drink. You've definitely got a ton of options now to play with at home.
For sure. You can definitely move beyond the usual and make some genuinely satisfying drinks.
And the best part is customizing them, right? Adjusting sweetness, trying different spices.
Absolutely. Finding your perfect cup.
Yeah.
You're in control.
So with all these ideas swirling around, which one are you most excited to try first? That refreshing vanilla sweet cream cold brew.
Tempting.
Or maybe the fun s'mores frappuccino. Or diving deep into those rich hot chocolates, the Italian or the Mexican.
Decisions. Decisions. It really makes you think, though.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, just thinking about how diverse the approaches are to something as basic as coffee or chocolate.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, right? What other ordinary parts of our daily routine might have that same surprising depth, that potential for personalization we haven't even explored yet?